Hi, my name is Irene. This is my booktube channel Irene Reads, and today I want to talk about all books I have read in the first quarter of 2022. It's the hardest year of my life, but still I'm reading few books here and there, and I read like 15 to 16 books in these 3 months, which is very few books. On booktube, you know, like people read like 20 books a month, but this is my life right now, and I am very proud that I'm still reading. So here we go. I don't want to do it chronologically, and so I will try to go on genres, and it will be easier for you to click on genres. I will make timestamps down below, and you can process this video easier for you. The only classic that I read during these 3 months was Agnes Grey by Anne Brontë. This is the first Anne Brontë for me, and I liked it, I think, less than Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre, but also, how can we compare this as a book for different author? I liked it well enough. I think it was closer to Jane Austen, like the closest from all Bronte's books I've read. It was the closest to Jane Austen. It was like slices of life, pieces of life book about the young girl who decided to become a governess because her family was short on money. Noble family, but they were short of money, and so she became a governess, and she worked in 3 different families, I think, during this book. It was very interesting to read about children education, I think, and children behavior, and also how, governess tried to teach them. It's all very different right now. I do think that she was very ineffective as a governess, and this is a popular opinion that all the kids she worked with were just terrible, but I don't think it's so. I do think that she was a very bad governess, inexperienced, didn't know how to speak with children, how to make herself an important figure in their lives. Definitely parents never helped her, like parents of the children, but still she had to have more authorial voice than she had. There is also a love story in this book, which was rather too sweet for me from one side, and also I didn't believe it from other side, and I didn't like the main interest in here, so I can't say it was very effective for me. But it was an interesting slice of life book, though I can't say that I like any of the heroes in this book, so I gave it 3 stars, and I do think like it's a solid Victorian classic, but very forgettable. Also, I don't know, is it a classic or not? I gave a 5 stars for Emily of Deep Valley by Maud Hart Lovelace. I liked this book very much. It was for Kate Howe's Kindred Spirits Club. I couldn't attend the club itself, but I read this book and I liked it very much. It's very sweet, but also it is very... it has very unusual heroine. She's quiet but strong, and she's trying to find the place in the life inside her situation. Like, she doesn't want to break the situation and to leave people behind her upset, but she's trying to do her best living in the situation that she's finding herself in, and she did a very good job with this. This is about Emily, who is finishing high school, one of the first children in the class, I think before World War I, but I'm not sure. And she can't go to college because she needs to stay and live with her grandpa and look after him. And she's very upset, yes, but also she really loves her grandfather, and she loves the small town she lives in, and she likes her life a lot, and she's trying to see what she can do with her life in these circumstances. And I think she won this battle. There is a very sweet love story in here, and also she is trying to help some immigrants who live nearby. And I do think that this story was done very well and with great compassion to these immigrants. I liked everything about this book. I gave it 5 stars. I do think that this is this kind of book that I can read when I feel very low, just to bring some joy in my life. I liked it a lot. So now let's see about nowadays literature, modern literature that I read. The first book of the year that I've read, and I gave it 4 stars, was Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. And now I want to tell I'm certain about this. I think this is a great book. I do think it was more skillfully done than Conversation with Friends, and I haven't read Normal People. And I do think that Sally Rooney is a very important author for our generation. And I do think that in 10 to 20 years, this will be the author that our generation will be remembered for. Though I did not like any characters of the book, and I can't find myself in this book, I can't relate to any of the characters. So I admire this book, but I didn't like it. Though it is 4 stars, and maybe even 4.5, I would not include in my favorite in any way, but I still admire this, and I admire this author a lot, and I will read, I think, Normal People and any other Sally Rooney's books in the future. I do think she is an important author. So there are 4 main characters in this book, and one of these women is working in publishing in a small company, and she always wanted to be a writer, but it didn't happen, and so on. And the other woman also worked in publishing, but she became a very popular writer, like Sally Rooney herself. And this very popular writer, she met a guy through Tinder or something like that. And they began dating, and it's all very messy and complicated as usual in Sally Rooney's books. But all these people looked very real for me. Yes, messy. Yes, not good. And I would not like to meet any of them in my life. But still, this book was done well. And also, Sally Rooney tells this story partly in letters, in emails. And these emails between 2 women, they are very deep, and the topics of their conversation varies not only about personal life, but about politics, ecology, everything. And they're very deep and very thoughtful. And you can see through these letters how these women care about each other. And all other parts of the book, about relationships and about the life that's going on, it's done in very cinematographical style, like you are reading a script of the TV series or something. And we see more details around people, about their apartments, about their clothing, than about how they feel or their conversations. Sex scenes in this book, again, are very long and very detailed, which I hate. I just hate reading about sex in books. I always try to skip these parts, and it's not possible in this book, because in Sally Rooney's books, people talk a lot about sex, during sex. They talk a lot during sex about a lot of important topics, so you can't skip these scenes, which drives me absolutely crazy. This is my least favorite part of Sally Rooney's books. But yeah, still 4 stars. I can't recommend this book, but I admire it. Another modern fiction I have read was Everything I Don't Remember by Jonas Hassen Khemiri. This is Swedish author, and I read it for my book club. and I didn't like this book. I gave it 3 stars, but again, it was interesting, like modernist take. This book was made of like very short vignettes or interviews where this anonymous author is asking different people about one particular man after his death. And author is trying to understand, was it a suicide? What led to this death? And also there are a lot of talks about immigration in Sweden, especially from Middle East, and problems related to this topic. And this man in question, he tried to help, but not very, he was not that helpful, or he was, and author is trying to understand what's going on. I think it was very messy, but maybe rather true book. The most interesting thing about this book was that people, while trying to talk about this particular man who was very important in their life, he was, a lover or a big friend or a son, they actually talk more about themselves than about him. And I think it's very sad truth in our life, but still, it was interesting. It was something new for me. Didn't enjoy reading it, but it was in January, I think, so it was fun. It was fine for me then for reading a book that I'm not enjoying at all for a book club, but not right now. That's it. Then I read the biggest book I've read during this period was The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. This is a huge, like almost 1000 pages book about historical fiction book about how a group of people are building a huge cathedral in medieval England. And all these people are related to each other. Like, let me be clear. This is a soap opera where where medieval topic is used, but the people in there do not behave or think as people behave and think during medieval times. I do think that Game of Thrones, though be fantasy fiction, is more true for medieval philosophy and way of thinking than this book is. Because though most of these people had to be very religious because they are priests and they're building cathedral and all the things, they are not. There is no God in their life. They travel the whole Europe on foot and on ships, and quite a few people went further than their native village. So I didn't believe any of these characters. Also, there was very detailed describing of 2 sexual assaults, so beware. Huge trigger warnings for child's death, for death during giving birth, for sexual assault, almost everything. But I don't know, it was too soap opera for me. I didn't believe it. I think it was stupid in parts, and I didn't like any of the characters, and I didn't like any love story, and it was too much for me. Actually in 10 pages, the things that are happening in 10 pages, you definitely can bring for the whole big, huge book if you will just go deeper in the situations that happen with people. And here everything is very rushed and unbelievable. I gave this book 3 stars, but it's more 2.5 for me. I didn't like this book at all, and it was very upsetting because it was a very long book, and I had high hopes because it's historical fiction, and I thought that it will be, bring me to other period of time. No, it will never do all these things, and I'm not excited of reading Ken Follett more. Maybe I'll try some of his mystery novels, but definitely not historical fiction. Also, I want again to ask you to help Ukraine as much as you can. I will leave some links down below where you can donate some money, and if you can't, just please spread the word. Talk to people about how terrible the situation is. Do not try to avoid the news about war at all, because this is very important thing is happening in our world right now. And also I want to bring your attention that Ukraine was exporter of food for half of African countries. So if the war will not stop soon, a lot of people can starve because of this. I do think this is very important to understand that in our modern world we all are together. There is a network of different supply chains and work situations, and we can't say that let's exclude this trouble part and make them die for us. We are involved, even if we don't want to be involved. And so let's stop this war, or a lot of people will starve in the whole world. Okay, so let's talk about children's literature. I read first 2 Betsy-Tacy books. I liked them, and I want to proceed with this series. But I can't say that I loved them because they're definitely not even middle grade, they are for younger kids. I think 5 to 6 years old. They are very sweet, they are very gentle, they are very old-fashioned, and I like that. But yeah, I need to read more to understand how I feel about the whole series. Also, I've read Amari and the Night Brothers. I had actually very high hopes for middle grade March because my daughter is a big reader now, and she is 9. And there are a lot of books that she read and liked, and she wants me to read and discuss with her. And we even thought about making a video together. But after the war, I just fell in pieces, and I couldn't do absolutely anything. So middle grade March it didn't happen for me at all. In February, I read Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. My daughter liked this book more than I did. There are a few things that I really liked about this book. I really like the main heroine. She's a person of color, and it was very well done because this is the first book where the main heroine is a person of color, and it really matters for the plot. You can see how it changes the plot and how it feels different for the whole magic system and the whole plot and her attitude to things happening. I liked it very much, especially because it's for younger readers, and it's very gently make them understand all the circumstances she lived in and all the troubles that changed her attitude to different things happening to her. This is a magical book about the girl whose brother went missing, and everyone thought that he was working with some gangs maybe, and they killed him. But she is believing that he never worked with gangs and he will return. And one day she found something in his room for her, which brings her to the magical summer camp, where she was tested and had some abilities that she need to work through in the summer camp. And her abilities are rather different from other kids, and also her brother was very famous in this magical society. And now she has like two problems. First, she needs to proceed with her education, and second, she needs to find her brother and conquer the evil forces that make him disappear. So it was good. It is a good series that will proceed, and I will read it. But I do think this book is like a compilation from Harry Potter and Nevermore series by Jacqueline Townsend. I don't remember the name of the author. I do think that Nevermore is more fresh, and Amari and the Nine Brothers has a lot of took a lot of things from there. I can't say it is not good. Yes, it is, but it is not unique. And I read all of this somewhere else. I want something more fresh. So we'll see what will happen next with all this. Now let's talk about two sci-fi fantasy books that I've read during this period. I've read Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, who my book club. I gave this book 2 stars. It's a sci-fi anti-utopia classic. I didn't like this book at all. I think it didn't age well. I do think there is a lot eugenics in this book, and the depiction of women is terrible. And I am not excited about reading anything else from this author. I can't say that I have something good to say about this book. I do think it was new and interesting for its time. I think it was written in 30s or 20s, in 30s. But I do think that the amount of eugenics in this book make it unsettling, and you can see that author was excited by Nazis ideas first, and I didn't like this book at all. So I can't say that I have anything to tell about this. And then I read Watchmaker of Filigree Street by Natasha Pulley. This book was recommended by Katie from Books and Things, and this she thinks she's talking about this book as of historical fiction, but I don't think it's historical fiction because it has a fantastic plot and persons with special abilities. Yes, it is set in Victorian London, but also I do not think that people in this book are depicted as, true Victorians. They behave and think as modern people, and well, it was a fantasy. For me, it was pure fantasy, and not very good. I didn't like characters. I didn't care. Well, there is a LGBT plus love story in the middle of this book, and it was lovely to see this. But I didn't like the characters in this book, so I didn't care a lot about their love story. Not because they were LGBT plus persons, but because I just thought they were not very good to other people and to their companions, friends, lovers, because the way one of the main characters is using his magical abilities almost do not give other people choice in their life. So he is manipulating a lot of people and a lot of situations, and I do not like this in the middle of a love story. I don't know. I can't say I liked anything about this book. I gave it 3 stars. It was very imaginative, and also it was the first steampunk book that I've read, and I'm a huge fan of steampunk aesthetic, let's say. So it was very nice. I liked magical toy octopus in here a lot, and all these tiny watch-like things. But no, I was not a fan. So yeah, and also I don't think it's a historical fiction. I do think it's have a fantastic plot. So sorry, not a fan of this author as a fantasy author. But we'll see. Maybe I will read something else from her, but not this book. And then I've read only mysteries. So the only 5-star that I've got was Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. I went to see the movie on the first days when it came, and with my husband, and it was a very nice date night, and I have very happy feelings thinking about this. I can't say that it was my favorite movie of all times, but I liked it well enough. It was very nice and interesting, and they changed the plot a little bit. I do think that I like the version with Emily Blunt and David Suchet better, but still, like, I like a variety of, you know, my favorite books. This is a reread for me, and I reread it after watching the movie. I wanted to remember exactly what they changed, and I like the book as much as I did previously. I do think it's one of best Agatha Christie novels. Yeah, so it was very nice. It's about the cruise on the Nile, where Poirot has to where people began dying, and Poirot needs to understand why. And there is a very passionate love story in the middle of this, and I think it was very fun. It's a fun time reading Agatha Christie. I liked it a lot. It's my favorite author, so yay for this. Then I've read Black Water Lilies by Michel Bussi. This is French mystery author. This was my first time reading his work. I liked it. It's not a mystery novel in general understanding. There is a plain author is playing with timelines, so you do not understand what's exactly is happening almost until the end. The best part of this book is setting, because it is set in Giverny, where Monet was worked and painted his famous pictures, and yeah, I like Impressionists' work a lot, so it was very fun for me. I always wanted to visit France, but I never could, and I have no idea what future will bring me now, but it's very nice and comforting to read books about beautiful places. This book is rather dark and suspensive, but nothing really brutal is happening in here, so it is rather safe to read this in dark times. I can't say that I liked it very much. I gave it 3 stars, but the process of reading it was fun, though the execution was not my favorite. Then I've read 2 first books from Molly Murphy series by Rhys Bowen for one of my book clubs. I liked it well enough. They're very fun to read. This is the most fun main heroine that I've ever read. This is a cozy mystery series taking part in the beginning of 20th century in New York. Molly Murphy is a fresh immigrant, fresh from Ireland, and she is trying to find her place in New York. And there is a lot of details about immigration process and different immigrants communities in America in the beginning of the century. It is a mystery novels, but she is not a very good investigator, so it's more about her adventures, and then something is happening, and you know, we have all the answers for all the questions that we had previously, but it's not very deep psychological. It's more fun, adventurous, easy to read. And yes, she is very witty, fun main heroine, very active. It's interesting to read. And yeah, I liked it very much. I gave 3 and 4 stars to the first and second books. I liked it. And then I've read a third book in Charles Todd series about Inspector Ian Rutledge. Search in the Dark was the name, and that was my favorite book. I gave it 5 stars. It is my favorite in the series so far. I've read now 4 books, and it is very interesting. I still find some parts of the plot not very exciting and exhausting, and I don't like Hamish at all, and I feel real frustration where he became involved in the plot. Hamish, it's like alter ego of Ian Rutledge, the soldier that he killed in the war, and now it's like his imaginary, not friend but enemy, you know, imaginary person with whom he is talking in his head all the time. I do not like this plot point at all, but aside of this, Search in the Dark was very interesting mystery where one you know, thing that he was investigating leads him to very different direction and very different investigation, and it was very fun to read. It was interesting, it was psychological, it was unexpected. Yeah, I was very excited about this book. So the plot of this book begins as an officer who returned from the First World War, maybe not officer, soldier, who returned from the First World War, and he was told then that his wife and his children all died during air bombing. And then one day he was traveling on the train to find a job in different part of England, and he thought that he saw his wife and his kids on the train station. So he couldn't get out of the train right away. He went out on different station and traveled back, and he was trying to find this woman, asking everyone, have them seen her or not? And then in a few days, the woman with very similar you know, clothes and very similar looking woman was found dead nearby on the fields nearby, and this man was arrested because of that. But from there, like, the main question is, where are the children? Are they safe or are they dead? Who killed this woman and why? And the main question, as we found later, is, who is this woman? I liked it a lot. And that's it. These were all the books that I've read in the first quarter. There are few that I liked, there are a lot that I didn't like. And also I want to tell you that I do think that my ratings, I even don't know, do I want to give ratings to the books now, because everything is very bland for me now, and I do not like most of the books, and I'm DNFing a lot of good books because I can't process them right now. I like Ian Rutledge series a lot, but it's very hard for me to read it right now, so I think I will stop and maybe return to this series later in different period in my life. So yes, this is my reading life right now. It's not that active that I want it to be, and I have no idea what the future will bring. I now set on pause almost all my book clubs and book activities, and yeah, I just can't predict my reading life for tomorrow. So this is how I live right now. Thank you for watching this video. I hope I will make more videos soon, and I will, yeah, see you soon on this channel. Bye. Also, if you see Ukrainians, if you see Ukrainian immigrants, especially, mothers with small children, please be kind for them. They suffer a lot right now, and your kindness will help. Thank you. Thank you for all this. And thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, hit likes, and support Ukraine. Thank you. Bye.